6, Taming the Chaotic Beast, the course creation tools that you need, and also just the general productivity tools that I personally use in my own business and things that have helped me and that I've learned along the way. Having been fortunate enough to create a reasonably large business in a relatively short amount of time, right? Generating well over $10 million now in 17, 18 months. So the reason that I'm a big fan of certain software is because it's the lowest hanging fruit, right? I'm a big fan of doing as much as humanly possible for free, right? There's very few tools that I pay for. There's very few things that I pay for, just because generally I find many tools are pretty irrelevant, and that you can do most of the stuff that they do for free on your own. There are, however, a few tools that I can't really imagine my business today without, right? Camtasia, what I'm using right now to record my screen as we speak and also to record my voice, is a tool that allows you to do a number of things, right? It allows you to record your screen. It allows you to do, edits, slow motion, overlays, like if you wanted to add a title word, right? There's motions that go in and out if you want the title to slide off back and forth, right? It's very easy, it's very efficient, and it's an old enough, mature enough tool that there's basically tutorials for anything that you would ever possibly want to do with Camtasia, right? It's very easy, very efficient. There is a free trial, it is $249, I believe. Yeah, $249 for the license for it. So it's not too bad, right? It's definitely worth it. There is also a free option, which is QuickTime if you have a Mac. I'm sure that there also are free options for Windows as well. I don't recommend them because it's actually worth the money. And just trust me when I tell you, I hate spending unnecessary money. Camtasia is worth it. Another free alternative is Loom, right? Loom is a service that allows you to record your screen via screen share. It is free as well. I believe they do have a pro for like $10 a month or something like that. And it allows you to record your screen similarly. So I wanted to always give you guys kind of the option that I use, but also suggest some alternatives, right? So QuickTime is a free alternative. Loom is another free alternative to Camtasia. Whether or not they have edit capabilities, QuickTime and Loom, I'm not personally sure because I don't use them for that because Camtasia is so easy and so convenient. Next is Vimeo. So what Vimeo is it basically allows you to host all of these videos that you're going to inevitably record for your course and that you're then going to embed in your membership platform, right? So each one of these membership videos, if we open the editor, which we're going to talk about in depth later on, what we see if we click where the actual video is we see the video URL is player.vimeo.com. So we're literally embedding the Vimeo, our video that's hosted on Vimeo. So we're actually uploading it to Vimeo, and then we're just embedding the link, just like copy and pasting a YouTube link, right? The reason that we use Vimeo and not YouTube is because Vimeo is unbranded, right? So you can have a video appear that has no branding. It doesn't say YouTube, right? A problem with YouTube is at the end of the video, YouTube by default forces you to have other suggested videos that aren't your course, right? That you can't control. And so Vimeo is what I personally use. I believe that it is not too expensive. I think it's $20 a month, right? Which is what we pay. So it's pretty cheap, right? It's definitely worthwhile. We have, hundreds of gigabytes worth of videos that get watched, tens of thousands of times a week, if not more. Yeah, so in the last month, we have 157,000 views, and that's just in our courses, right? We don't use this for anything else. YouTube is a free option, right? You can upload it to YouTube and you can unlist your videos so that they're not publicly available. Problem is it looks unprofessional, right? I don't recommend it. I do recommend using Vimeo because it's unbranded, looks much more professional, and there's no suggested other videos at the end of your video, right? But I always want to give you guys both paid and free options. LastPass is the next, right? LastPass, what this does is it allows you to save all of your information in all the different websites you use. So like my Vimeo password is saved in LastPass, my Google password is saved in LastPass, my Trello, right? All the things that we're going to discuss in just a few minutes as far as productivity is saved inside of LastPass. And LastPass is literally free, right? You can, if you want, upgrade to $3 for $3 a month, but the way I use it and the way 99% of people use it is completely free. So LastPass is a complete no-brainer, right? It's secure. I have two-factor authentication set up in my LastPass, so it would be very, very difficult for a hacker to get into my LastPass. They would have to have my phone, they'd have to be in my phone, and they'd have to have my master password, right? So if somebody has all of that, then they deserve my passwords. The next, I literally could not imagine my life without. We have over 800 gigabytes worth of storage in here, which is my Google Drive. It's how we facilitate all of the different things that we do, right? Our order forms, all the phone numbers that we get, the software that we're creating, right? We save all of our different Facebook ad text examples that we like, the whole funnel mapping of all my different courses with UTM links for advertising, right? And this is all stuff that won't be necessary until you guys are making, multiple hundred thousands of dollars a month for the most part, or until you decide that you want to start software and take, YouTube very seriously and things like that. But Google Drive is just an amazing way to upload and share things and always have access to it. Like if you're on a camping vacation or something, and one of your advertisers really needs a video file that only where is in Google Drive, you can do it from your phone and you can share it directly from your phone, and it just allows you to be incredibly productive, right? My life would be so lost without Google Drive. I can't stress that enough, right? All my software, all the phone stuff, all the ads, the important things, right? Everything else, everything digital course secrets, all my ads that we've ever done, right? Everything related to YouTube, it's all here and it's all organized, right? Trello is the next one. What Trello is a project management tool. So we have different, daily priorities. We have priorities for me that my employees manage. We have all of the different members of my team inside of Trello, and each person has their own daily tasks, right? You can save images. You can see like the to-do list of one of my employees, right? Make every webinar replays, have the live chat instead of the send email option, right? All of these different things, and you can see, as it gets checked off and things like that. Trello is very, very important, and it's completely free. How 99.9% of people will actually use it, right? So it has all of our employees here and what people are actually assigned. Very, very important because people forget things, right? Like you might tell your employee something, but then, their dog comes in and they totally forget, their dog's peeing and, what you said doesn't get done. And then, 6 days later, you realize it's not done, and then you have to deliver it to, a client or something, and it's not done, and everything, goes crazy. So Trello, it just becomes very important to start getting yourself in the habit of using it, even if, you don't feel like your business is big enough to warrant it, right? As you start to add employees, once you have these habits already built of using, the software tools and the productivity tools that, an 8+ figure business is using, then you'll be able to kind of establish the right habits from the very beginning. So it'll be very, very important for you. Hubstaff we're going to skip, but Hubstaff is just something that allows you to time track your employees as you start to get more and more virtual assistants, just to make sure that they're working on your stuff like they say they are. Upwork, incredibly important. We've talked about this multiple times. To find virtual assistant, you literally would just type virtual assistant, right? And I'll show you exactly how I use Upwork too. So USA only is defaulted on. I turn that off immediately, right? I like to see people who've earned a lot, who have high success rates. With a virtual assistant, you can find a ton of people for less than $10 an hour. 1,000 hours billed, last activity within the last 2 weeks, so they're active, right? And then I like to look at independent freelancers because agencies just don't work as well, I've generally found. Now you can see all these people, right, who've earned $10,000, $50,000. This guy's $4 an hour, right? I guarantee you he's incredibly smart. 100% a job success with 50,000 US dollars earned. It's 12,255 hours worked. It's crazy, right? For $4 an hour. Insane. And so, I like to go through these. I've had generally the best luck in the Philippines from virtual assistants. And what you can find is, even though this guy's public rate says $4 an hour, sometimes you can see and hear that he's actually charging significantly less dollars per hour, like $3.89. This one's he's charging 50 cents an hour, right? So, that I would ignore this particular one, but you'll see that sometimes this hourly rate doesn't actually line up with what's happening in the feedback. And so you can sometimes, negotiate an even lower rate. And some of the smartest people that I work with, I started paying $2, $3 an hour. As they've kind of worked their way up, now after a year or so, I'm paying them $7 an hour or something that's still very, very incredibly worth the money. Next is Fiverr. Fiverr's really good if you need just little things done, like like YouTube banners, YouTube thumbnails. Literally just type it in here. We talked about this earlier, so we won't go too in depth. I just like to literally type what I need, right? Sort instead of by relevance, by best selling. And then I just go with whichever one has the most reviews. Like this guy has 5 stars with 1,000 reviews. He probably makes really good thumbnails. It's as simple as that, right? And something that I've learned about hiring hundreds of contractors over the years is that the difference between a top 1% contractor from an output perspective and everyone else is truly staggering, right? In terms of productivity and work output, it's literally night and day, right? It's black and white. A top 1% productivity contractor can do the work of 10 lesser contractors in the same amount of time, right? And normally is 1/10 the cost, right? It's amazing. And so here are some tips that I've learned over the years finding kind of top tier contractors. For lower level contractors like VAs, like personal assistants and things like that, Upwork is perfect. Upwork works great. For advertisers, right, and upper level kind of project managers, what I like to do is look in relevant Facebook groups, right? So a relevant Facebook group in this particular example could be like ClickFunnels, for example. ClickFunnels is an amazing resource. Whenever I need someone, I always post, like a job post in there because there's 200,000 entrepreneurs in here, right? The quality is just absolutely insane inside of this group. And so I like to, really go hard when I need someone of a higher skill level, like project managers or advertisers or things like that. Find them inside the ClickFunnels group, right? Just make a job post. It's as simple as that. This becomes important, right, as your business grows. You want to have your contractors that work for you give you a sentence or two at the end of the day, just what they've worked on, right? If they have issues, if they have questions. Because one of the most difficult things for most entrepreneurs is they don't really work with anyone else, and letting go of control and letting other people make decisions is so difficult, right? So devastatingly difficult. But if you constantly are micromanaging people, people won't want to work with you, right? And you're going to drive yourself crazy because you're going to push people away and have to retrain all these new people and things like that. So let me save you kind of that pain up front, right? Another thing that I've learned is have one communication channel, right? One communication channel. What does that mean? It means either communicate with all of your employees on Skype, right? Or communicate with all of your employees on Slack, or communicate with all of your employees on Facebook, or whatever the case may be, right? But the point is keep everyone in the same communication medium. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting so much time, communicating with some people in Telegram, some people in Slack, some people in Skype, some people on Facebook, some people on WhatsApp, right? Get everyone in one communication medium. Otherwise, you're going to be just wasting so much time bouncing between apps, forgetting where you talked with who about what, where files are stored, things like that, right? Establish SOPs, standard operating procedures, as soon as you can, right? Store everything in Google Drive, have all of your project management in Trello, all your passwords in LastPass, all your videos in Vimeo, right? Have all of your contractors in Upwork, and just kind of create that efficiency from the start, because you can either learn how to do it the wrong way or you can learn how to do it the right way from the beginning. And then, that resistance that you're going to feel learning new things is going to happen either way, whether you learn the wrong way or the right way. And so you might as well learn the right way from the beginning, right? And the best part is there's tutorials on YouTube for all of these apps, right? All of these pieces of software. There's intro videos. There's how to do specific things, right? How to add a title in Camtasia. Let's try it. How to add a title in Camtasia, right? Create an intro or title slide. There you go. Make and insert title slides. Adding titles and transitions in Camtasia. Everything you need is always at the tip of your fingers, right? The difference between people who are successful and those who aren't is the willingness, the slightly larger, slightly more willing to actually Google things, right? So utilize the Jin mentality, Google it now mentality as often as you possibly can, right? And don't get super hung up on production quality. Instead, focus on teaching valuable content, right? Give insanely practical, step-by-step instructions, and I guarantee you that your students are going to love your course, right? Be enthusiastic, be energetic, be passionate. I've literally made over $10 million in 17 months using the ClickFunnels membership platform, right? It's not the prettiest thing in the world. I would be the first person to admit that, right? But it works, right? People can log into it, they can view the content, right? It keeps people who don't pay for the course out, right? It gets people who do pay for the course in. And you know, the next thing that you're gonna learn in the next chapter is I literally just record my screen with a picture-in-picture video, you know, sometimes. And I just record, I use my laptop camera. Everything I do to create these multi-million-dollar courses is just from my laptop, right? It's literally just sharing my screen, recording my screen with Camtasia. That's all. Right? And people get so caught up with having the latest and greatest everything that they forget that people just don't care, right? All people care about is their result. People judge you from like an initial perspective based on what you look and how you present, how you look and what you present, how you present yourself, your clothes and things like that. But once they've made a decision on you and they've evaluated you, whether or not they think you're a scam, right? They've looked at your Facebook, they've looked at your Facebook group, they've looked at your business page, they've listened to you speak, they've looked at your student results, right? They've already made the decision. People don't care if you have the most beautiful course website in the world, right? All they care about is whether or not your course can get them motivated enough and committed enough to themselves to actually take action, and whether or not that action can actually get them their results, right? So how do you actually 10x your productivity and output aside from just using these tools, right? Aside from Vimeo, LastPass, Google Drive, Trello, Upwork to find staff, right? And then just the Google it now mentality. How do you do it, right? Something that I like to call the little task devil, right? The little task devil. And look and think about what I'm doing here, right? I'm idea branding because it's easier to understand and remember the idea and the kind of moral of the little task devil by calling it that, right? It's a concept though that's very important to understand. The little task devil will try as hard as he can to distract you from DCS, right? And we've seen this again and again. And the people who are cognizant of it and the people who have the self-awareness and know that it's happening can kind of be like, oh no, I'm not gonna get distracted by you, little task devil, right? The little task devil comes in a lot of forms, right? Homework, maybe it's a 9-to-5 job, right? Work on your other business. Maybe you have current clients for things that you used to do, right? Maybe you have, you're dealing with employee issues. Maybe you're taking other courses. Things that you know are distracting you from DCS, right? DCS, we've proven to you, there's nothing more automated, more profitable, more time and financially freeing. There's nothing else you could concentrate on that's going to give you more of the results you want faster than a digital course, right? It requires very few staff, no clients, it's infinitely scalable, right? That's why people like Tony Robbins are doing digital courses as one of their primary sources of income, because they recognize the unbelievably profitable nature and the fulfillment, right, that you get as a human, right? Once you have more than enough money, the fulfillment and the happiness and the impact that you get and make on people and changing their lives, right? There's nothing else like creating a digital course. And so if you know that, then you also should know that anything else you spend your time on is literally distracting you from your goals, right? It doesn't matter how high you climb the ladder if it's leaned against the wrong building. And so it ends up, all these other things ends up taking all of your time, right? Because you should know by now that building a following and a course is the most profitable possible use of your time, right? And you have to become aware of the little task devil, right? Make sure that he doesn't control your life. because the little task devil does control most people's lives, average people's lives, right? When little unavoidable tasks come your way, right? Like phone calls from your insurance, or something breaks in your bathroom and you need to call a plumber, or emails, right? Dedicate all of those and do all of those things in one day, right? If you can't avoid them, schedule them all for Tuesdays, right? Have Tuesdays be the little task devil days where you have to do all the stuff that isn't bringing you closer to your goal, but is just unavoidable, right? But you cannot allow the little task devil to interrupt your deep work time that you're spending on DCS. Nothing is going to get you to your goals faster, more efficiently, and more explosively than DCS will, right? Than building your digital course empire and creating that impact and fulfillment for people. Nothing is going to get you closer. And the little task devil will try as hard as he can to distract you from DCS and distract you from the highest possible ROI for your time, right? The little task devil will distract you from the platinum link in the value chain, which is your digital course, right? So be aware of him and keep him under control. Recognize when he's distracting you. Recognize when you're spending way too much time on your old clients or your old business, right? Don't let yourself get addicted to that money that all those old clients are giving you, because you're going to make way more from your digital course, even if you have to give it up for 30 days, 60 days, right? And the way that I actually do this is by starting my workday with my most important tasks. And if you don't know what it is, what your most important task is, it's probably what you're procrastinating doing, right? Just simply enough. For most people, that means creating YouTube videos, right? Because it feels very uncomfortable creating your first video, looking at a camera, smiling, talking to yourself, right? I'm sitting here right now. It's dark outside. I'm talking to myself. Nobody else is in the room, right? It feels very strange, but I still do it because I understand that it's helping people and changing the world and changing people's lives, right? And so you have to do the same thing and have that sense of accountability and ownership that you owe it to your students or your future students to create the content that's going to help them, right? So recognize what you're procrastinating doing that is going to be the biggest value add, right? Which is usually YouTube videos or adding 40 targeted people from relevant Facebook groups and messaging them every single day. Because you've probably never done a YouTube video before. You probably never made one, right? You're probably nervous. You probably never reached out to new potential customers on Facebook to build your own Facebook group, right? And because you've never done it, it literally requires new neurological pathways in your brain that we talked about with the rule of opposites, right? And that is why it's so hard to do. And because it's hard, that's why you procrastinate doing it, right? But when you're self-aware about these things, you can nip these bad habits in the bud and you can defeat the little task devil, right? So get in the habit of starting your workday with your most important task. Don't let yourself get lost in the details, right? Block out entire days to work on specific tasks. Like maybe Wednesdays would be your YouTube day, right? So you get your YouTube stuff set up. Maybe it's just your laptop camera. Maybe it's the camera that we suggested. You're turning on your lights. You're getting your outline of your YouTube, proven content out. You're delivering it one at a time, and you edit it all together. It takes a full day, right? But then you have a beautiful piece of proven YouTube content that has highest likelihood of anything in your life to go viral and completely change everything about your business overnight, right? And learn to fall in love with your work, not the byproducts of your work, right? And this is so important as far as being happy as your own person, right? Because all the money in the world doesn't make you happy. And everybody always says that, and it's so cliche. And people without money are like, oh, well, you have money, so it's way easier to say that. Money literally allows you to have comfort. But once you have that basic comfort, right, I can personally attest to the fact that money doesn't make you incrementally happier once you have, your food and your shelter and your basic needs accounted for. You have to find happiness in fulfillment and helping people and changing people's lives, right? And if you don't fall in love with the work that you're doing, right, you're going to do all this work for 6 months or a year, and you're going to be like, oh, I'll be happy once I finally make it. Like once the grind's over, once my course is done, right? And then all of a sudden a full year of your life or 6 months or 3 months or however long it takes you is gone, right? And you weren't happy for all of that. You were just saving your happiness until after you've accomplished your goal, right? And that is a very dangerous, toxic place to be in, right? Because Steve Jobs says your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way you can do great work is to love what you do, right? And the way that you achieve results is to not focus on it, right? It's to focus on the process that generates those results. That is how you do it. And the way that you do that is by going dark to get things done, right? We live in the age of distractions. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, these are literally tools created by some of the smartest people in the world, paid some of the most ridiculous salaries in the world to make these apps as addicting as possible with regard to human nature, right? People get these dopamine rushes literally to their brains by using Instagram, right? When they get 6,000 likes on their post, they feel better, right? And then they need to do it again to get that rush of dopamine again, right? But you have to resist these things. You have to go dark to get things done. And so if you have a deadline or a big project to deliver on, you have to remove yourself from the world, right? Stay inside, turn off your cell phone, hide your cell phone so you physically can't see it. Don't touch email or social media. Don't come back to reality until the project's done. And I'll repeat this again, right? Where you're at in your life right now, financially, physically, and mentally, right? Money, health, and mental health is precisely how you have designed it, right? You and only you are responsible for where you're at in life right now. No one else. What you have right now, how much money is in your bank, the state of your physical fitness and your mental fitness is everything is because of the summation of the choices you've made to get here, right? Focusing on the wrong things, letting your clients own your life, right? Letting your current 9-to-5 job take precedent over something that you know is going to make you more money in the end and create more fulfillment and happiness in your life. That's a choice that a lot of people are making. That's a choice maybe you're making. And I'm not here, right, to console you and tell you that everything's going to be perfect and, the world's all rainbows and unicorns, right? I'm not here to tell you that an 8th place ribbon and a 1st place ribbon are the same and that they deserve the same praise, right? I'm here to give you the mindset and the tactical tools to be a wolf, right? To be a winner and to teach you what it takes to revolutionize not only your business, right, but your life and the fulfillment and happiness that you have in your life. Because DCS members are winners, right? Even if they weren't in their past, they make a commitment to themselves and to the rest of the DCS family and to me, right, that they're going to evolve into the next versions of themselves and they're going to create the reality that they want, right? I think about it like a video game. I love to gamify life, right? Gamify waking up earlier, gamify, creating more productive habits in your life. You're choosing to play the next level of life. Right? The next level is harder, right? If it wasn't harder, it wouldn't be the next level. It wouldn't be a well-designed video game, right? The next level is not comfortable, it's not easy, and you shouldn't expect level 2 to be as easy as level 1 or it wouldn't be any fun, right? But we're going to go to level 2, level 3, and level 4. But to do that, you're going to face resistance, right? You're going to leave your comfort zone, but you will come out on the other side stronger and happier and more fulfilled. So don't drown in tools. Right? Don't drown in productivity tools. Don't use so many tools that you're all of a sudden less productive because you're using so many tools. Right? Don't drown in software. Don't drown in the next shiny object. That's one of the most critical points I can make. Don't allow yourself to be tempted by the allure of the next shiny object. No additional course is going to change your life. Implementing what is inside DCS is going to change your life. Trust the results, right? Look at what people are doing with their time. Like Tony Robbins, what's he doing with his time, right? He's making digital courses and he's upselling in-person events, but only because he's been doing it for 40 years, right? And only because when he first started, digital courses didn't even exist, right? So he got into the habit of doing these in-person events and it's what makes him happy is doing that, right? But look at what people are doing. Don't guru hop, right? If you look at what most people are doing and not what they're saying, you'll realize that they're making the most money by selling their courses, right? And when you understand the motivation behind why people say things, you get to the truth much faster, right? Use what works, nothing less, nothing more. And the software and the productivity suites that I showed you, that's everything that I use for a $10 million plus business, right? Because what most people don't realize is that people don't have business problems. Right? They're not inherently a business problem. People have personal problems in their own lives and with their own mentalities that resonate and manifest in their businesses, right? People don't have business problems. They have personal problems that manifest in their business. And if people aren't committed to their business, you can make a very safe bet that they're not going to be committed to their morning routine. They're not going to be committed to their exercise routine. They're not going to be committed with their daily habits. They're not going to be committed in their relationship, right? If you have a messy car, you probably have a messy business. If you have an unhealthy body, you probably have an unhealthy business because it's a commitment issue. It's a personal issue that's manifesting in your business, right? I work from home. I have for years, right? I work from home, and over the months, what I noticed was I was getting into the bad habit of not showering when I woke up, right? Not showering, not shaving, just not putting a shirt on, not putting deodorant on, not, putting gel in my hair. Well, I just got lazy, right? I got lazy in my personal life, and my business started to get lazy, right? I got lazy with checking in with my employees. I got lazy with putting effort into like new advertising campaigns. I got lazy when it came to hiring new people, right? Instead, what I did was I used the rule of opposites, right? Just like we discussed. I chose to dress up in a suit one day, right? And I felt and I looked sharper, and people treated me differently when I had meetings, right? I shaved, I put on deodorant, I felt amazing, and my business reflected that, right? Everybody started to see how sharp I was, how sharp I seemed, how sharp I looked, in the clothes that I was wearing. And then when all of our meetings went way better, right? And everybody was way more committed. Our ads started, to skyrocket all the ROI, right? We started to hire better people. Everything just started to reflect my own personal commitment in my own life into my business. Because even when you achieve really tremendous success, you still need to discipline yourself, right? You have to treat your work seriously. And if you take business and life seriously, it will reflect in your business, right? And you're gonna see tremendous success. And so I know that was a lot, guys, but it's so important. And remember that you have these videos for life. These are yours, right? So watch them as many times as you want, because I've tried extremely hard to only include the bare necessities, right? The minimum viable product to give you everything from a mental arsenal perspective, right? So you have the mindset tools, because without the mindset and without the commitment to yourself and commitment, to your mentality and your mindset and your paradigm and how you act and how your habits, your own personal habits, if you don't have that, it won't reflect in your business. Because remember, no one has business problems. They have personal problems that resonate and manifest in their business. So you have to get yourself and your mindset right first, and then that will naturally show itself as huge success in your own business, manifested by your daily habits and your commitment and accountability to yourself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the next.